That's why I had those thoughts. I knew it wasn't my voice in my head. Yes? Okay. Welch's?
Toy show the other day, and they had some of those Welch's glasses. They were more modern. They're from the 90s, but they were peanuts, and they still had the jelly in them.
Oh.
And I'm like, I don't know how to feel about it. Like, it's got food in it.
Yeah.
If I bought it, what would I do with it? Would I leave the food in it, leave it closed? Would I open it and try to eat the food?
Yeah,
would I open it, empty the food out and clean it? Because jelly is like a preserve, but it's not sealed with wax, but it is sealed with, I don't know. Like, would it last?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
In glass?
As long as there's no mold.
I think I'd be tempted to try it at least a little bit.
I know, right.
Yeah,
I mean, a taste couldn't kill you, could it?
I don't.
But Doctor, Will said it'd be fine.
I'm sorry to inform you, sir, but you're dying.
No.
You didn't have peanuts branded jar of jelly, did you? From the 90s.
It didn't go bad, but it was actually poisoned at the factory. So.
Oh.
It doesn't go. What a stroke of bad luck. There's just a disgruntled employee in that batch.
Just coincidentally.
On that one jar that never got open.
He's thinking, I thought I was going to be as famous as the Tylenol guys.
Yeah.
Anybody going to ever eat these things? Why'd they have to be so damn collectible? Damn you, Charles Schultz, and your beloved characters.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of 1980s Now, a weekly examination of the importance of 1980s pop culture and its influence today. My name is Will, and joining me, as always, are my friends and co-hosts, Kat and John.
We're co-hats again.
I think it's got to be because I'm about to say cat.
I think
Maybe.
so. It's
Is
sneaking
that
in
weird
there.
how that works? Yeah. Anyway, hey, Kat and John, how you guys doing?
Great.
Hi, everyone.
How are you, Will?
I'm good. Now, you may not realize, but, we just did SFGE last week. We did our live panel. I didn't use the script for that part. Now, right now, I'm looking at it and still saying it wrong, but I still have it. I don't really look at it, but I have it here just in case. Makes me feel better. And it reminds me things like saying this. In addition to his co-hosting duties, John hosts his own podcast, Jenks Grown Up. Gen X Grown Up. Gen X Grown Up.
It's going so great.
I slipped through the cracks.
Yeah.
Thank you,
System. Hey, on today's show, we're going to be discussing a dozen or so of the toys from our youths that are being adapted into feature films.
Which is crazy.
And while it may make some sense in light of the overwhelming success of the Barbie film that's out right now, what makes little sense is the particular toys they've chosen to put on the screen. I mean, some of them are just bonkers.
And what they're doing with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just crazy. It's like,
Yep.
what do we got? Tiddlywinks?
Yeah.
Crime drama. Look, wait a minute. Where did you get that? How do those align?
Rubik's snake? Yes, make it 300 feet and it eats people. But you have to solve it to destroy it.
You're rolling up in that little ball to win.
Yes.
I have that down. That was my favorite one. That, yeah. Yep.
I figure we'll talk about the toys, whether we had them or not, whether we liked them or not, what seems to be proposed, what little information we have with regard to what they're going to be done in the box office. And I'm imagining that on at least one or two of these, John will have a better pitch because he deserves to be in that writer room.
Put me in the writer's room. We're gonna make it happen. Here you go.
Can't wait to hear.
Hey, before that, though, we're going to be reviewing a few current news items related to 1980s media, including Beverly Hills Cop was not a comedy. Well, at least the way it was written. Alf is back. So is Madonna. He-Man, however, is dead. Stuff like that. Now, and just before we get to that, though, a brief announcement. And, I realized I hadn't told you guys this before because I was going to tell you before. I'm thinking there's not going to be a show next week.
Oh.
Maybe there is, but I'm having a procedure done on Tuesday.
That's right. You are. Yeah.
Theoretically, I might be okay, but that means I'll have to have had the show ready before then.
Okay.
All right.
So I'll just say this. Hey, no show next week. Or maybe there is. That's the announcement.
There you go.
You'll find out on Monday.
Yes, isn't it exciting for you, dear listener?
Tune in to find out.
Will we be back
exciting...
like Alf and Madonna? Or suffer some fateful demise, such like He-Man?
Oh, no.
Or Artemis the cat. It was fighting to get back, apparently. Anyway, there you go. I don't know.
Jeez.
Either I'll be fine or I won't. If it goes the way of
We
my
hope you're fine.
vasectomy, it'll be months before I'm normal again.
Oh, dear.
But that was my own choice.
Story?
What's that?
Are you going to share the story?
You know the story.
I do.
But
I don't think John knows the story.
John probably doesn't know the story because probably by the time I had enough distance to, if I had been friends with John at the time, I'd be like, you got to hear this. I don't even remember all the details.
Oh, yeah.
But I will just say this much.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's my own fault because I chose to be awake during it.
I see.
I'll leave it at that.
I wouldn't make that mistake. I nearly pass out when they take blood.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
be put under.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they
Same.
never believe me. And they're like, it'll be fine. I'm like, no, really? I'm very squeamish about this. It'll be fine. And then when all the blood is flushed from my face and I can't see straight and the walls are closing in, they go, let me get you some juice. Like I told you.
Too late. Where did this man get 30-year-old grape jelly?
That'll wake him up.
Oh, he needs it? He needs it to wake him up? It's the opposite now?
It's like his spinach.
Some rogue employee at Welch's put medicine in them? He did the opposite? This just hero employee saves life.
Well, you'd buy more jelly if it had painkiller in it. I guarantee you.
Kids would be great. Yeah.
Oh, this sandwich is awesome.
Oh, can I have another and another and
Oh,
another?
I can smell colors. This is great.
I could sum up my vasectomy and the problems that followed. And I'm fine now, ladies. I'm fine now. If you're wondering, I'm fine. I'm better. I'm better.
You're just letting the ladies know.
Yes. In case you're worried.
Well,
In some sense, I'm more potent. In another sense, I'm not potent at all.
I think depending upon how the story goes, guys might be more interested in knowing that it turned out okay.
That's true.
That's what I'm thinking.
I do. Yes.
I just picture a lot of wincing.
Oh gosh, John. No,
He was awake. Oh,
this is a true part of the story. So I won't tell you the whole thing, but this is a true part of the story.
okay.
Oh, look at
The
him. He's settling
doctor
in.
was clearly frustrated with the fact that I had chosen to be awake. Because had I been asleep, it'd be a lot easier for him because a human wouldn't be. Well, okay. I'll sum it up.
Flail?
I'll sum it up this way. This is his bedside manner, and I'm not exaggerating for comedic effect. Literally, he has my stuff in his hand, and he's yanking it as hard as he can, and is saying, "Relax, relax your testicles, relax your testicles." He was operating me, John. No kidding. Like I was a pinball machine, and he had just gotten a bonus ball, and he was raring to go. Come on.
I don't even know what muscles to address to relax my testicles. How would you approach that?
I think it's mostly a psychological game, as proven by the shouting. The sort of.
All right, I'm going to try. Nope, more tense. Okay, I tried.
I mean, literally, I was like this. You're not helping. Light a candle or something.
Oh,
Give him some jelly.
Put jelly on it. Then it'll come in the pig. Tip it in the jelly I brought. Is any of this going in? Yes, all of it.
it's almost like we have a guest.
Is there a surprise guest?
We'll be right back with President Barack Obama. Oh, there we go.
Nice.
All right, hey, meanwhile, let's get caught up on 1980s news. While I'm in the peak of health. Hey, this week in 1980s news, and as reported by Entertainment Weekly, Alf is back. Everyone's favorite centuries-old wisecracking alien life form has chartered a flying saucer from the 80s to today. That's Entertainment Weekly's words, not mine. And this all is a thanks to, or in spite. What's the opposite of thanking somebody for something?
Right?
In spite of. That sounds
Who is
good,
culpable?
Yes, it's
Whose
either
fault
thanks
is it?
to or we. Ryan Reynolds' Maximum Effort Company.
Okay.
because he's bringing the oddball NBC sitcom, or he has brought it back to his maximum effort channel as of the end of July. It's there now. And he's doing something else, too, to create some new content with the puppet and its creator, Paul Fusco. So instead of creating full-length episodes, what they're doing is featuring essentially branded Alf segments, like moments. They're just a couple minutes long, and they're going to be the commercial breaks during the Alf show. So in between, you cut to another.
Like a time for timer, kind of like cheese and cracker, make a wagon wheel, right? Those kind of like Saturday morning cartoon cut-in interstitial deals. Is that what you're saying?
If there were PSAs, but what they're doing is someone's paying him. So, for example,
their content.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Mint Mobile, which is also a Reynolds company, is one of the sponsors. Fubo is another sponsor. Some company called Mountain is another sponsor. What they look like is a segment out of the sitcom, except for none of the original actors, except for Alf, who once again is voiced by his creator, and a new actor there. But they're it could be a sitcom set, a living room there on a couch, and making small talk about the product. And it's funny. They even add a little laugh track in. That's really how he's brought Alpha back to life.
It raises two key questions for me. If this is a good time, I can ask you my two key questions. Key question number one is, what the heck is the maximum effort channel? Who carries that? How do you find that? I don't know where to. I mean, it's not something on my dial that I know how to find.
Yeah.
Is it web only? Is it a streaming thing? I don't know.
I could answer it. It's available. I can name a food. It's Fubo is one of them. Amazon Freevee, Plex, and a number of other services, like you said, that I've never heard of or used.
All right.
But
so it is a streaming sort of channel like those. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Are those all streaming?
Yeah,
I guess so. Yeah, you're right. Internet based.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I believe so. And my follow-up question is, what about the finale of Alf?
Oh, it's interesting that you bring that up.
Because Alf was ended on a heartbreaking cliffhanger that wasn't supposed to be a cliffhanger. Well, it's supposed to be a cliffhanger, but it was supposed to be resolved the next season.
Right.
And then they somebody did the old vaudeville cane and pulled Alf off the stage and went, nope, we're not doing any more of that.
Right.
So are these supposed to be during the initial run, or these throwbacks to the 80s? Are these prequels to Alf, or is there, did they resolve it? Did he kill the guys and eat them? Well, who knows? Like that's my main curiosity. Because anytime you continue Alf, people talked about that. You got to figure out what to do about the old ending.
Right.
Something was done about the old ending back in the 90s. What John's alluding to is the show ran from 86 to 90, ends in a cliffhanger where finally the government agency that's been hunting him, the one that this family they lived with has been hiding him from, they finally capture him at the end of the episode. They're expecting to get another season. There's change of management over at NBC, and instead they're canceled, and the Fresh Prince gets Alf's time slot. According to Paul Fusco, after this happened, NBC regretted it. They wished instead, some executives wished instead they had kept Alf running for 2 more seasons instead of the wildly successful Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which ran for, 6 years.
Not likely.
Right. But in 1996, they did a TV movie that continued the story of after him getting captured. Yeah. It didn't have Max Wright or any of the originals in it that, in later years would come to tell us that they hated being on the show. That the working conditions were terrible. They didn't like playing second fiddle to a puppet and so on and so forth. So it only featured Alf, who was voiced by Paul Fusco, and sort of explained what happened after he was captured. So
those people know what they signed up for. They knew they were playing second fiddle to a puppet,
Yeah.
They knew it.
Yeah, I remember we had, we had one of the writers from Alf. Well, he wrote Misfits of Science, and he wrote a couple of episodes of Alf, and Don Todd is his name. And he was saying, folks are in danger of falling into a 6-foot drop, in a hole on the
there was
stage.
that pit, the puppeteer pit.
Yeah,
right. The Muppet Show has that same issue for guests.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, it was that and a number of actual dangers that, besides the poor working and other poor working conditions. But and look, hey, this isn't the first time Alf, his cult following has prompted him to return to TV. He starred in TV Land's short-lived Alf's hit talk show in 2004. I've never seen any of that. Apparently, it was an interview series that had Drew Carey, Bryan Cranston, Tom Green, and a bunch of other folks on as guests. And he also made an unexpected appearance in a bizarre episode of Mr. Robot, which I haven't watched, but I was told is a great show.
It's the Rami Malek show, right?
Yeah.
Had to be a fever dream.
Yeah.
Somebody had some bad peyote.
We've talked about it before. I was a fan of Alf as a kid.
I was too.
I tried to rewatch it recently. It's terrible.
That's the thing. I was a fan as a kid.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I could go back and watch The $6 Million Man. I can go back and watch The Incredible Hulk. But some of those shows, they were only good because you were a kid and it was a puppet.
Yeah,
and he was chasing cats. The slapstickiness and the crassness of it just didn't hold up for me, unfortunately.
I have not revisited Alf. I just have that memory of, he was a family favorite. And
You may recall we've also discussed once before that in 2010, outtakes from Alf were unearthed and revealed the cat eating ET dropping racial slurs and making some other terrible sexual innuendo toward a young cast member, courtesy of the puppeteer Paul Fusco. At the time, the show's producer, Steve Lamar, said, "You're talking about 20 years ago when the world was not so ridiculously PC. Anyone that's offended needs to lighten up already. You remember when racial slurs were fine and joking about sexual assault with minors was cool."
Yeah. It was
good times.
perfectly acceptable.
Less charitable was co-star John LaMotta, who played their neighbor, who had nothing to say about the controversy, but still offered this welcome burn. Quote, "I thought the show Alf was a piece of shit." End quote. Hey, on another 1980s news per CNN, Madonna is recovering. So you may recall that in January, we chatted about Madonna's announced celebration tour. For one, we applauded even the fact that the tour would celebrate her 40-year career and as a result include a set list of her greatest hits.
Right.
Which in the past, she was one of those celebrities that seemed to, avoid
Play the hits.
Yeah.
Yep.
That tour was supposed to kick off July 15th in Vancouver, Canada, but in June, Madonna's longtime manager announced she was in the ICU after developing a, quote, serious bacterial infection, end quote. And we got little other information about it, about her health or the tour since. That is until July 10th when the Grammy winner took to Instagram to announce that she's rescheduling the North American leg of her tour following her recent hospitalization. She wrote, quote, "Thank you for your positive energy, prayers, and words of healing and encouragement. I have felt your love," end quote. Apparently she's recovering now, and because, as she goes on to say, she doesn't want to disappoint anyone, including the folks that work on the tour, she's going to be rescheduling it sometime later this year. She also says, quote, "My focus now is my health and getting stronger, and I assure you I'll be back with you as soon as I can."
It's a very non-committal statement with very little detail. I'll do what I can, when I can. Hope to see you then. Hang in there.
Yeah. In a statement following the post, Live Nation confirmed that all the North American dates of the tour have been postponed. Saying that folks should hold on to their tickets as they will be valid for the new dates.
Yeah, I was imagining that they might keep the same venue as much as possible. And then, it's just going to be on a different date.
Yeah, usually they're like, well, if you had it for July 20th, your new date is October 2nd. If you can't go, get a refund. If you can go, great.
Yep.
Once again, I'm glad I hope Madonna's on the road to recovery and she heals quickly. And even though, we don't know what happened, and that's fine. But it gives me more time to figure out whether I want to see her or not, because I was really struggling with this earlier this year. And I had friends I had seen just not too long ago before she got sick saying they had already gotten their tickets because they were so excited. And as big as a fan of Madonna as I am, I think I mentioned this in the last few years, she doesn't seem like Madonna to me anymore.
And also you don't really like going to concerts, right?
Well, there's that too, but I would make exceptions.
Oh, so you'll maybe make an exception for Madonna, but not Duran
Well,
in September
I
with
definitely
me.
sing along to a lot more Madonna songs.
Yeah.
Well, if you start streaming now, like everything, all their albums,
start learning all those nonsense lyrics now. You'll be ready by the time September gets here.
Let's think of the most controversial, strangest lyrics we can from Madonna. Like a virgin touch for the very first time. Compare that to I smell like I sound.
My mouth is alive with juices like wine.
Yeah.
It's much more romantic. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey.
Sure.
Juicy mouths get me going.
Just
viscerally.
Will, stop thinking about juices. Relax your testicles.
But your mouth, doctor, it's so juicy. Can you suck on a cotton ball or a gauze or something?
My mouth is alive with jelly like wine.
Jelly. It's medicinal jelly. Don't worry.
Medicinal jelly like wine.
Hey, another 1980s news, as reported by Variety, Beverly Hills Cop's humor was developed on set. So Martin Brest, who directed the film, and a number of other films, including Midnight Run, Scent of a Woman, he's notoriously reclusive, but he did speak to Variety in a rare interview. Throughout their lengthy discussion, Brest touches upon many of his most well-known works, including 1984's runaway hit Beverly Hills Cop, one of the films that makes 1984 the greatest year in movies.
Yep.
And as we've discussed before, Sylvester Stallone and not Murphy was originally attached to star and also write the film.
Weird.
Wow.
Yep. Somewhere there's a parallel universe where that happened, and I don't like it.
But when Stallone turned in a script that was much darker than the studio wanted, they parted ways. But Stallone's script, again, as we mentioned before, became Cobra.
Yes.
Anyway, when asked how difficult it was to find the balance between the anarchic, is that how you would say it? Anarchic, anarchy. I'm reading the words from Variety. Anarchic energy of Murphy and the grounded, violent world around his character, Brest said, quote, Beverly Hills Cop was not written as a comedy. So everything you see in the movie that's funny was in the process of making the movie.
Fascinating.
Of course, it is a comedy, but the first time I heard somebody say it, I was shocked because I approached the dramatic moments and the comedic moments the same, which is looking for a certain truth that's appropriate to the intention, end quote.
Okay.
And that's, when you do it that way, right, that's what elevates the comedy too. It makes a film like that so special and good.
Probably so.
Like everything's treated sincerely. So even when he goes in there with he goes in to tell Maitland that he's got the herpes simplex 11 or whatever it is. It's crazy and over the top, but I don't know. It otherwise feels grounded because of that kind of approach, I think.
Right. And maybe they're not trying too hard to be funny.
Yeah.
It can happen more naturally. Yeah.
And a different approach gives you like Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, where everything is taken as slapstick and over the top, and there is no groundedness, right?
Right. Yeah. And as an example of this, Brest points to a scene that resulted from an improvisation future cast members Judge Reinhold and John Ashton did during the audition process. Brest said that during casting, Judge said that thing about red meat.
Wow. You know, it says here that by the time the average American is 50, he's got 5 pounds of undigested red meat in his bowels.
Why are you telling me this? What makes you think I have any interest in that at all?
Well, you eat a lot of red meat.
This is something we believe in the 80s. That can't possibly be true, right? You can't. I know that people talk about you get a colonoscopy to get all that undigested meat out of your. I mean, how would you'd have to feel it, right? If you had like.
There might be some jelly down in there, but I don't think there's any red meat left.
I mean, get the jelly out. That's the colonoscopy.
Boy, I hope the jelly part of our earlier discussions makes the show, or that's going to sound really weird.
Now I'm cutting it. Now I'm definitely cutting it.
It's like, why?
All right.
Petroleum jelly? Or what does she mean? I don't know.
Oh, that's good, John. Let's do that. We're going to react to Kat like she's just nuts. Yeah, Kat, what are you talking about?
Okay.
Jelly in the colon?
Jelly? What are you? That's disgusting.
How does one get jelly in there? And now, where is the jar in this scenario? How many ounces of a jar? All right, here we go. And scene.
Tom and Jerry.
Anyway, back to this. So he said that during the audition process, Judge Reinhold just improvised this comment about red meat. And at that moment, I already knew I was going to cast them, and I wrote it down. When we showed up to shoot that scene, I gave it to Judge, and he didn't recognize it. That's an example of just how anything that anybody says that has value gets grabbed and filed into its proper slot. As we also discussed earlier this year, the fourth film in the franchise, Beverly Hills Cop Axel Foley, at least that's what it's has been called for some time now, is on the way.
Ooh.
Now, the film wrapped, already, and Netflix has been expected to release it next year. But this website, World of Real, again, and take this with a Doomcock size grain of salt. World of Real suggests that the streamer may release it sooner in light of the WGA SAG-AFTRA strike. Their hypothesis is that the streamer may run out of content before they lose patience with the artists, and they'll just be putting anything that's done and in the can ready out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big fear, and that's something it's really colored my perception of anything that's hitting the theater these days or hitting television these days. Because I'm like, okay, so we know when this was done before. It kind of pulls back the curtain on if something comes out next year, you're like, wait a minute. How long you been sitting on this? You know, it's because you're clearly going to run out of stuff eventually. But there's that stuff like, what about movies that they're almost done and they're like, nah, we're not going to do it. They're going to pull those out of the bin and go, all right, how close to finished was it? We're starving for something. Yeah, I know it was garbage, but you know.
Yeah. We may get to see that Batgirl film eventually.
Oh, wow. I hope you're right.
World of Real also indicates that Netflix could release it confidently because, according to World of Real, they've been hearing that the sequel has been testing well, with some audience members comparing it to the first film.
Promising.
Well, the Coming to America sequel, I mean, not that they're the same film in any way, but it's another Eddie Murphy vehicle followed up years later. That did pretty doggone well. I think they treated that well. I think it was well received. And so it's interesting that Eddie Murphy is one of those people that has almost... He fell off the radar for a while and didn't do anything. And now he's back revisiting all of his old franchises all of a sudden.
Yeah, and when he did come back, he's been doing dramas. So he was staying away from comedy for the longest time. Yeah.
Right.
Hey, I hope it's good. I like the first two films. As I told you before, Kat, don't ever watch the third one.
I do remember you saying that. I was thinking that in my head.
It is a fever dream. Also per Variety and finally in 1980s news, He-Man is dead at Netflix. At least speaking of the streamer, it's been a long journey through eternity to get He-Man and his friends to the live action screen, going back as far as 2007. But after two studios, including Warner Brothers and Sony Pictures, and countless writers like John M. Chu and McGee, Masters of the Universe is officially, it seems, dead at Netflix.
Wow.
Insiders say that they spent close to $30 million already on developing this Mattel toy into a film. It's been shelled out including money that's been shelled out to hold the talent.
Wow.
Which included Kyle Allen, who I'm not familiar with, and the directing duo of Adam and Aaron Nee, who directed The Lost City, that Sandra Bullock film, which I really enjoyed that film a lot. That was... exceeded my expectations.
It was kind of like was that like the Romancing the Stony kind of thing? And who's in that? Channing Tatum or somebody was the heartthrob. Yeah.
It was way better than I thought it would be. But you're right. It's clearly a riff on the Romancing the Stone.
Yeah.
I loved Romancing the Stone, so I'll have to check this out.
The only thing I thought when I saw they said that He-Man was dead was, has anyone checked in with Prince Adam? Because I know they were close.
Oh, no. I wouldn't want to be the one to tell him, yeah.
I don't know. I can't find him. He's nowhere. I haven't seen him in days.
No.
If for some reason you don't know, he said on Planet Eternia, Masters of the Universe largely focuses on the conflict between He-Man, who's a blonde muscle god, not unlike Thor, and his nemesis Skeletor.
And Will.
And Will? I'm the nemesis?
No,
I'm a blonde
you're
muscle
a blonde
god.
muscle god.
Yes. That's true. For folks who haven't seen us doing anything on YouTube or Facebook, or whatever, that's 100%
factual.
Accurate.
The character. I don't think I sound blonde though. The characters formed a much loved.
Hold on.
Wait a minute. What was that?
Did you'd look better if you smiled more, me?
No, I said I don't.
What does
sound
being blonde
blonde
sound like?
Yeah,
what does that
I
sound?
don't know.
Blonde.
I don't know, but like,
What's a guilty person look like, Will? What does a blonde person sound like?
I'm gonna close my eyes and see if I could hear your hair colors.
Oh.
You guys keep talking.
Okay, so
Kat has a light colored hair, but I can't tell if it's blonde or a different color. John, you say something.
Guess what color my hair is?
Oh my gosh. John has a perm and it's very dark and long.
Business in the front, Sutherland in the back.
There you go. Yes. I didn't mean it. You're right. I didn't mean that joke about blondes being smart or dumb.
I didn't think you did. I was just taking advantage
I
of an opportunity.
literally
to
meant
harass
that. I
you.
don't think I sound blind. Whatever that means to you.
whatever that means.
Anyway, the characters of Masters of the Universe formed a much-loved 1980s animated series, which had a cross-generational fan base during its syndicated runs. The latest film iteration budget was to be over $200 million, and with cameras set to roll February. Last spring, however, Netflix was confronted with a stunning stock drop that saw the powerful streamer shed $50 billion in value.
Right.
After investors became concerned about the company's subscriber losses, and they nixed the film.
Wow.
The filmmakers had done everything they could to try to make it more palatable to Netflix, including coming with a lower budget of, I think it was $180 million, but Netflix still balked at that as well.
Yeah.
I'm bummed because the only live action He-Man we ever got was the 1987's Dolph Lundgren film, which is terrible. It's really terrible.
I never saw it.
It's good for what it is. If you know, it's like the ET game for Atari. If you know the limitations behind it, you're like, I'll be damned. They were able to pull that off. But objectively, not a great movie. I would agree. Yeah.
Okay.
The movie felt to me like it was going to be a big budget film. It starts off an attorney, I think in Skeletor's castle or something. You're an attorney at first, and they build these amazing sets. And then you think they ran out of money and they were like, well, where are we? Let's just film here. And they just left the studio and they're on the streets of, I believe the movie takes place in New Jersey.
Oh.
Or they're on the streets of, New Jersey and let's just do it here.
Oh my
yes. God. And then they fell in love with their own idea. Yes. That is a great idea. So yeah, John, you say if you didn't, I thought you were going to say it was a good movie for what it is if you didn't know the cartoon. So if you just saw that and thought, this is a cool fantasy film. Yeah, probably okay.
Oh yeah, that would also help to like that movie more. Yeah, you're right.
But so that's all we got. But also these two guys, the Nee brothers who did The Lost City that I mentioned that were attached to direct it, it was, I felt like we could trust them because the things they had said regarding the cartoon franchise, because they had grown up with it. Including, quote, this is something they told Variety in 2022, quote, it was very important to us that with Masters of the Universe, we hold on to what it was for us as kids. It wasn't silly to us or absurd to us. It had a depth and meaning to it. What we're going to be able to do with this movie is going to blow people away.
Oh, all right.
We did take it seriously. It wasn't a goof. Yeah, we had the toys. We played while we watched. We were motivated to buy more toys during the commercials. And then watched more show.
There always was. So He-Man was just a little bit young for me, or I was too old for it, or however you look at it. But but I definitely saw it peripherally because all of my friends' little brothers were watching it. And so when I did see it, which was pretty regularly, there were lessons in it, which was great. But also there was a 10-year-old level of gravitas to the story. There were stakes. There were stakes, but stakes had bumpers on them, right? So like bad things could happen, but not super, super bad, right? Like nobody's super, super going to die, but maybe they would lose their best friend or something would happen to the castle, right? So there were always stakes, but you felt you were safe enough to enjoy it, not be scared, but you would kind of get, it was like a nail biter sometimes. Like, oh no, what's going to happen to Prince Adam? Like you would worry. Because you felt there was something really behind it. It wasn't just a goof. It wasn't just a cartoon. Yeah, I agree.
I saw it peripherally as well. My younger brother would watch it. I don't think I saw it quite as much as you did or paid attention to it quite as much.
I definitely watched it. It was one of those, I think it was one of those cartoons that came on after school. It was like Inspector Gadget.
Yep.
Ghostbusters.
Scooby-Doo would be at that time of day. Muppet Babies would be that time of day. Oh, yeah.
I didn't have any of the toys. My friend did, though. And so we watch and play over at his house, too, though. Look, and if this gets off the ground, who knows if it will, and if it does, it still has the strike to contend with.
Yes,
but
exactly.
In the very least, it seems like because they've canceled this, they've lost the commitments they have to the artists that were attached to it, including the Nee brothers, who insiders say have a deal at Universal to develop a new hybrid live-action animation film around the Lego franchise that was put in place before the strike.
Oh well,
and that was that. All right, okay, good. Bye.
Was that 1980s news?
That was. Kat, thanks for asking. That was 1980s news. Hey, our independent podcast is brought to you every week by folks just like you. So if you'd like to help us out, please follow us on the podcast platform you're listening to right now. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share an episode on Facebook. All of these actions just take a moment and are 100% free. But if you'd like to chuck in a buck and help us keep publishing the show week after week, please visit us at 1980snow.com/support to find out how you can send us $1 or $2. And thank you so much. It means a lot. Speaking of turning toys into movies, what a coincidence, right?
What?
We've got, as we mentioned, we're going to talk about a whole lot of toys coming to the big screen. Oh, boy. And, so I read this article in the New Yorker that talked about, I don't know, Mattel has like I want to try to give the realistic number. I have some pieces of the article here in front of me, but I don't think I have this. I think they have 43 IPs that they were considering for film, and they've got like a dozen right now in development.
Okay.
So
like, I really want to see the list of rejected ones and see if, wait a minute.
That's exactly.
Hold on a second. You mean all those were worse than this one you picked?
Yes.
We'll get there. I know, but oh my goodness.
Yes, exactly. What the three of us have been talking about whenever we talk about new films is this, it seems like Hollywood has lost its way with regard to predicting what will be a hit.
Right.
Their expectations. They haven't modified their expectations following the pandemic.
Right.
Or they continued the same behavior that they maintained during the pandemic, like streaming things, same day or within 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so they're blowing up their own business model and otherwise not being able to understand the business model. Mm-hmm. But so that's been at least among the three of us and pulling in some other smart folks, our conversation about that. Mm-hmm. But then came Barbie and holy crap. And maybe, and there's probably lessons to be learned here. Hollywood, as we're going to talk about, is probably taking the wrong ones. So overall, according to the Hollywood Reporter, the recovery of the theatrical landscape has been anchored by young men between ages of 18 and 35, who are always had been at least eager to see the next installment of a superhero franchise. Mm-hmm. That's changing. We know The Flash didn't do well. Black Adam didn't do well. You could probably stick Indiana Jones in there.
Oh man. Well, superhero fatigue is a real thing. I mean, there's too much. There's just, and not from a get off my lawn kind of way to say it, but it's not just the films anymore. It's not these great tent poles that there are, one every 2 years or maybe, one every year or something. Mm-hmm. Now there's tangential stories on streaming that if you didn't see, you won't understand the next movie. Yeah. I feel like I can't go to a Marvel movie because I haven't done my homework. I don't know who people are. I'm like, well, who's he? Would I have known him if I'd watched the second season of Loki or the first season of WandaVision? Or I don't know. Yeah. It's exhausting.
There was a point where I was caught up and then...
me too. I was like, I think I'm there. And then I couldn't keep up. Yeah.
But the proverbial fanboy, who again, even their taste seemed to be changing, took a backseat as Barbie came out because it will soon cross the $1 billion box office mark globally. Mm-hmm. It's only been out for a couple of weeks. It's one of the top female-fueled films of all time. Not adjusted for inflammation. Give me the jelly!
Just rub a little jelly on it.
I had to beat Cat to it. Cat's just ready with the jelly. Someone say something ready so I could see jelly. But speaking of learning the wrong lessons, maybe Mattel obviously is the brand behind Barbie and the folks that put together this deal that landed this film in our screens and again ultimately is crushing at the box office. Mm-hmm. With regard to that film, well, okay, like let's take a step back. How did we even get here? So and this is mostly from the article I read in the New Yorker. An Israeli-born gentleman named Enan Kreitz became the head of Mattel in 2018. He was the fourth CEO in 4 years. This is a time where Toys R Us had just gone bankrupt, and Kreitz's predecessor had resigned after Mattel suffered a loss of $300 million. Well, among one of the many sort of ways that he looked to transform the brand and start, getting, sort of reaping the rewards of the various IP that had been in place for decades, was to see them as franchises, including in the film sense. He said, quote, "My thesis was that we needed to transition from being toy manufacturing company making items to an IP company managing franchises." End quote. Mm-hmm. Before Kreitz took over, there was going to be a Barbie film. You guys might not remember this, but Sony had the deal, and it was talked that various folks were they're going to do a sort of a satirical take on Barbie. Mm-hmm. At one point, Amy Schumer was attached, for example, to play Barbie.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But among one of the many things that Kreitz did was pay Sony to reclaim the rights from them. Believing that doing a film that didn't respect Barbie in the way that Mattel, had hoped or intended, wouldn't be good for their brand. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So what they did was he assembled a team, including hiring a veteran film producer from Miramax, or who had been a veteran of Miramax, Robbie Brenner, to head up the newly minted Mattel films. And they sort of looked at it like Marvel did. Marvel has all these franchise, all these brands, all these heroes from the comics. And so they developed a writer's room to pitch films and, see what would, stick, so to speak. And so what the Brenner did was her first task was to assemble a team to rummage through, as the New Yorker puts it, Mattel's toy chest.
Okay.
And identify IP that could be fodder for Hollywood studios. And what Mattel would do was, figure out which IP would be good and then try to put the right writers, actors, directors, etc. together that would, to champion these films. Anyway, while Mattel points to Transformers as something to be emulated, they do seem, according to the New Yorker, to be mindful of the possible pitfalls, and the lessons learned from these other films and these development failures, including the fact that what Mattel's doing rather is they're partnering with a range of studios and enshrining a series of timed, quote, development gates in each contract. If the creative team that Mattel assembles doesn't deliver and quickly, it can be disbanded, allowing them to move on. So they don't get tied down. Yeah. Again, it seems very similar rather to Marvel's sort of model.
Yes.
And just like you were saying, I think your guess that the film industry is learning the wrong things from Barbie is the same lesson that wasn't learned from Transformers with Hasbro, right? It's the thing that made the Transformers movie somewhat of a success and clearly a successful franchise is that it has something worth mining. It has a lore. It has a story. There's something you can map and go, oh, Autobots, got it. Oh, you can look and find those things, but like, look at Candyland, look at Battleship, look at Pop-O-Matic Trouble. I mean, there's no lore there.
I love.
Maybe you're inside that. It's kind of
it writes itself.
It's that in that TV shows, that sort of sci-fi, fantasy, horror, whatever is the dome, and that's where it is. It's getting popped every now and then.
Everybody goes flying up.
What are we? What's this dome?
Yeah, and so that's when I look at this list of Mattel that we're about to get to, as I know, is like, okay, Barbie has not a lore, but at least it is a character you are using verbatim. Like, who is Barbie? This is the Barbie we're using, and plus all of her friends. Right? Their Kins and the Allens of the world are all in there.
Oh, but yes.
Some of these others are just like, I don't know.
Yeah. With Barbie, there's so many options too. Like all the different, the worlds, or not worlds, but she had all these different arenas that she
all her accessories and different kinds of Barbies, and they riffed off of all that President Barbie and Astronaut Barbie, like they were all in the movie, right? So, spoiler alert, sorry, but they were all in the movie, so you could see them there.
It's ripe for lore,
which makes me think again, and maybe Mattel, they were the deal was hung up with Netflix, so they couldn't do anything. Maybe now that's released, and so now Mattel, maybe they got it back so they could develop with somebody else. But He-Man, just like you're saying, there's so much lore, so many characters, vehicles to use. It seems like a no-brainer, and better than any of these I think that we're going to mention.
1,000%.
But anyway. All right, here we go.
Is it really down to the budget? It sounds like they couldn't find a.
But Netflix didn't want to put the money. Maybe it's a matter of
maybe they'll take that Barbie money and they'll roll that into the Masters of the Universe movie. We'll see.
All right, look, this is really in no particular order. This is the order in which I documented them, and I think there's a couple on here that I didn't mention to you guys, but you'll be able to play along.
Okay.
All right. So first up here is Barney. Now, this is not one that we grew up with.
No.
Our kids grew up with Barney.
Yep.
And he annoyed the shit out of all of us. And my daughter still tells a story about how she had this is a nightmare my kid had when she was little.
Oh, boy.
This horrified her then, and she still tells the story, and it sends a chill up her spine and mine as well. This is what was horrifying about it, because you've seen the TV show, right? You've seen clips of it or something.
Yes.
Yep.
Dad had a dream with Barney in it, and Barney blinked. That was terrifying to her. Barney blinked.
Well, that's nothing these days. Animatronics blink all the time. Yeah, big costume character.
Animal never blinks. Anyway, so Barney. So
it has that dead stare.
Yeah. So I mentioned, that what Mattel's up to here, and Barney is one of their properties. So I thought this is really interesting. Because you would never expect this, but this gives me some faith in Mattel, maybe.
Okay.
According to Kevin McKeon, who's the right hand man to Robbie Brenner, who I mentioned she had experience with Miramax and producing films prior to Mattel recruiting her. He's most excited about the Barney project, which he said would be, quote, surrealistic. He compares it to the concept of it to the work of Charlie Kaufman and Spike Jonze.
Oh.
Barney's going to be blinking. He said, quote, we're leaning into the millennial angst of the property rather than fine-tuning this for kids. It's really a play for adults. Not that it's R-rated, but it'll focus on some of the trials and tribulations of being 30-something growing up with Barney, just the level of disenchantment with the generation, end quote.
And Barney really was for the millennials. I less so with
That's
our
right.
kids, because I was babysitting as a teenager, and that was the show that the little ones I was watching were into. So,
Well, who's a millennial? I don't know. Is that one right after us?
I forget the exact year, but it's like 1983, 84.
Well, that's right after us. The millennial kids
Yeah.
start like in the early 80s. Yeah.
Oh, right. 'Cause
Millennials are in between us and Gen Z.
They came of the age during the millennium, 1999
Yes.
turning over or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again, he said it wasn't going to be R-rated, but he told a New Yorker that he sold it to prospective partners as an, quote, A24 type film.
What does
Yep.
that mean?
It's going to be
That's all
R-rated.
the super twisted, cool horror stuff. Midsummer and the Black Phone and
The Vavitch or
I've
Witch.
never-
yeah, right.
I think that's fascinating.
That's like the only thing you can do with Barney. I mean, you can't do the TV show
No.
unless you do the TV show as being in the movie. And then the character who is Barney deals with his life outside of being Barney. That's like the only angle worthwhile.
That might be the Charlie Kaufman thing about it.
Yeah, there's a documentary called I Love You, You Hate Me that followed, the odd like love-hate relationship people had with Barney.
Yes.
And I think that's ripe for a film. That was a documentary. It made sense. It was good. And you could explore that about Barney, right? Say, the show exists, but what happens outside of the show? How do they deal with all the blowback and the people that they hate and that kind of thing? See, there's a movie in there. It's just doesn't have to be A24 surrealist, I think.
I don't know. I was not otherwise interested in Barney till I read this, and I thought, that could be interesting. Yeah.
I'm still not. They have to sell me.
Yeah. Here's another one. Magic 8 Ball.
I'm on board.
On board.
I don't know what.
Yep,
in the
100%.
world,
Why are you on board? Why are you on board?
Because I loved the Magic 8 Ball.
Oh, okay.
That was a prized possession. I thought it was the coolest thing. So I almost don't care what they do with it. I'm curious to see what happens.
Okay. I have a pitch, but I want to hear the original pitch first.
Ooh.
Okay. Well, here's what's interesting. Again, this got my attention. Jimmy Warden is going to be writing it. He's the screenwriter of Cocaine Bear. He's devised a horror comedy about the Magic 8 Ball.
Holy crap. I swear I have not read this article, and my pitch is on par. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
The approach Brenner told New Yorker has been the subject of some debate. Brenner said, quote, we're not going to make any R-rated movies, although the Magic 8 Ball script walks the line a little bit. She continued, we're not going to make anything that feels violent or that is alienating to families. We want to stay within the parameters of what Mattel is.
Oh, pulling punches. That's too bad.
Yeah. How do you have any?
All right, John.
Does your idea build on that at all, John? Any more details to be fleshed out?
So my Magic 8 Ball film would be a cross between a supernatural thriller and what was the Jim Carrey film? Lie to Me? Liar,
Liar?
True Lie. Liar. Right.
Okay.
So something's possessed the Magic 8 Ball. And so when you flip it over and you get the answer, the answer is now unavoidable. You cannot, there's no way to get it. That's now predetermined destiny. That is deterministic.
Okay.
So if you're like, is it going to rain today? Even though it's bone dry, you're like, it's looking good. It's definitely going to rain and it must rain. Like you can do about it. Or like, am I going to go hungry today or whatever? And no matter what you do, you can't eat because it says you're going to go hungry. I could just see the Magic 8 Ball being possessed and taking control over someone's life. The answer must come true, not the other way around. So
a super powerful 8 Ball.
that's right. There you go. It's always right, no matter what.
Like a Final Destiny or something, where it's
or the Final Destination-ish kind of.
Final
Right,
Destination,
exactly.
yeah.
Whatever those are. Right.
But because of the 8 Ball, it might not necessarily be bad. It could be Ask Me Again Later or
It might be right.
or whatever, something good.
Right.
Yeah.
In that sense, it could be like, it's more like a genie in a bottle where you got to be careful what you wish
Careful
for.
what
Phrase
you
it
wish
just right,
for
right?
or
Yeah.
ask for. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
The next one here is
It won't be that good.
well, it's interesting, and I think I'll get your attention real quick here.
Oh.
Because the other one that came up in this article is Boglins.
I don't remember Boglins. What are Boglins?
Yes.
Hello, Gremlins again.
Yeah, exactly. John, put him in the writer's room already.
So Boglins, Cat, to spur your memory, were those little guys that came in a little cage or plastic bars in a cardboard box.
Okay.
And you could jam your fist up inside of him and really warp his face and make crazy faces with him because he was a puppet.
Okay.
He's a puppet.
Proper amount
kind
of jelly is involved.
That's right.
A generous amount of jelly.
I was
right.
trying to figure out how to work in the jelly.
I'm just worried what Will is going to do with a soundbite of me going, shove your fist up in him.
Mm-hmm. There's going to be a lot of ASMR sounds, you know. Like,
It's going to be on the promo.
Oh.
There you go. I didn't have to do anything. Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome. Happy to help.
You're like Sheb Woolley. So it turns out that after months of negotiation, Mattel secured the rights to Boglins, which, as John describes, is a set of toy puppets from the late 80s.
Puppets.
Numerous puppets are small puppets.
Yes.
Numerous millennial directors and screenwriters had expressed interest in the property. Andrew Skinnell, the team's resident genre nerd, explained, quote, "There is a new activation for us. They're these really weird, fleshy monster creatures. I had a bunch of them. They're very bizarre. They're a little gross."
And if I'm not mistaken, they're being re-released now. Like you could still buy them new.
Really?
They were gone for a while and now they're back. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah. I can see that being a thing.
Yeah. Well, and with regard to what they're going to do with the film, he continued saying that we're thinking Gremlins-ish, but with a twist.
What did I just say?
Yep.
Yeah, he said Boglins they're hoping it would be a big Halloween movie.
They're ripe for hand shoving.
That's a good one. And the toys are already out there, right? So you can, it's not like you have to, now let's do the marketing. The marketing's already done. Just make more.
So here's another one I'm going to bring up, although I think as children we didn't play with it, although it was available, actually first developed in the 1980s, and that's American Girl. This product was first.
I didn't realize they went back that far.
Yeah. Now, we've had American Girl films. I know this because I've watched them with my daughter, who's very much into American Girl. There's been 10
cartoons
films.
Or are they
live action? Yeah. And they're based on, what it is essentially a live action movie that features the character that is, has been put in doll form. So, for example, Kit Kittredge is a doll. They have the story where you see an adventure of Kit Kittredge, that sort of thing. In fact, the one I mentioned, I think that's the one I mentioned, was produced by Julia Roberts. So she's been involved in some of the production of these films. They were made for television or straight to DVD type things. That's what we saw, though.
Sure.
They were on Netflix for a period of time, but they're not there anymore.
Well, show you how out of touch I am. I thought American Girl, what is it?
American Girl doll.
American Girl. I thought whatever you said, whatever that was, I thought that was a clothing line. I didn't realize that was a toy or a doll. So
there are some clothing pieces.
Or are there?
Yeah, involved because you can get.
Are they separate or are they
outfits.
part of the same franchisee deal?
Yes, it's part of this. You can get matching.
Oh, like you buy the clothes the
for
doll
your-
can wear or something like that. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
We're twinsies. Mini me.
Yeah, I've lived it. Yeah, I know. In fact, Olivia Rodrigo, who we featured in our top 10 list last week, she starred in 2015's American Girl film, Grace Stirs Up Success. But Mattel's partnered with MGM to produce the next film in the series. According to the New Yorker regarding this film, McKeon provided updates on various projects, including American Girl. The New Yorker notes that his descriptions often sounded like a Hollywood version of Mad Libs. And with regard to this film, he said the script would be a combination of the movie Booksmart and Bill and Ted.
Wow.
The time traveling part,
Phone
the
booth?
lovable
Which part?
goofs,
Exactly.
phone booth.
that unwittingly find success. I don't know. I mean, American Girl is very much about
gathering historical figures.
Oh, yes, Cat. That's it. Oh, and Booksmart. So they're having to do some kind of homework assignment to do. Yes, Cat nailed it. I'm going to write that down because Cat will be right.
All right. Here we go.
Is there anything John said that he'd be wrong about? Yeah, Magic 8 Ball. I just put a note about that. It's going to be a little while before.
Wait, let me just clarify.
Yeah.
You're capturing samples of Cat being right and John being wrong? Okay.
What's going on
Okay.
here?
That's right.
I just wanted to make sure I had that straight.
All right. Now here's another one. I'm going to give you two, and you're going to say, aren't those the same thing? All right, here you go. First up, Matchbox. You can guess the second one now.
Oh.
Mattel's teamed up with
Yes.
Skydance Media to produce the first live-action Matchbox film.
Mm-hmm.
It remains to be seen how the film will differ from the other product that we're yet to talk about, Hot Wheels.
Oh my gosh.
How is it not just the Fast and the Furious? I
Right,
mean, it's
right.
just it's car porn. That's all we're looking for, basically.
One or the other
right?
is, yes, or both, yes. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying we have it already. Why do you need a named franchise? Why is it Hot Wheels of the Furious? You know, why do you have to, I don't know.
I'm furious.
The Fast and the Matchbox.
Trying to do this, yeah.
Does it say any more about this? Like, is it supposed to be, you know, like live action or animated or?
It's the first ever live action Matchbox.
Oh, you
movie
said
is what
live
it
action.
says.
Okay,
Yeah.
I missed that.
And New Yorker points out to distinguish the two products, Hot Wheels and Matchbox, they say that Matchbox, I'm just going to quote them, or we could respond to this. Matchbox toys have traditionally had a reputation of being more grounded.
Grounded.
I guess they're depict more realistic vehicles and
Yeah,
Hot Wheels. takes
Hot
liberties.
Wheels has more crazy
Okay.
stuff, more fun,
Okay.
crazy,
Okay.
yeah, over the top, right? Yeah, there's a line of Hot Wheels about board games. You can get the Operation or the Clue car and things like that.
Oh,
Nutty
okay.
stuff that they do. But I'm only on board with one of these if it's like batteries not included and the cars are actual size. They're Matchbox size
Okay.
cars.
But they're sentient and
They're kind of Toy Story alive kind of thing.
Yeah.
Full size cars. It's just a car movie. Who cares?
Yeah, I was looking, I guess that's kind of what I was looking for, John, like, yeah, a little twist like that, you know, not just
Yeah.
humans
Yeah.
in their cars. Yeah.
Or maybe they can be full size cars very briefly to do some amazing thing, but then they quickly shrink down. You got to get out of it in a hurry or you're going to be crushed. And
Ooh, you know what?
blood and guts fire out the windows because you're getting shrunk.
They're big and then they transform into smaller cars. Yes, right.
Ooh.
Whereas Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, who had secured creative autonomy in developing the Barbie script, Mattel's film executives are typically present when a movie's plot is conceived. And with regard to the Matchbox film, which again is they're working with Skydance,
In parentheses, but they're usually on their phone. They're present in the room, not paying attention.
Oh.
Hold me up to the room so everybody can see me. Listen, you little assholes, get your shit together. What you're pitching me doesn't sound like Matchbox, it sounds like Hot Wheels. Or an off-brand Matchbox or Hot Wheels that I wish I knew to make this joke land better.
there you go, whatever. So Mattel's working with Skydance to develop this film, and Skydance, by the as a side note, is one of the driving forces behind Top Gun Maverick. So it's, they've got their
That's right.
Okay, yeah,
credentials
yeah.
there. But members of Mattel's team took turns commuting to home of the Skydance executive Don Granger, where 5 writers camped out for a week with a whiteboard and a collection of Matchbox playsets, trying to gin up a story.
That's
Oh.
concerning.
And among the folks who would routinely check in on them there was Robbie Brenner, who I mentioned, who proudly informed the reporter at the New Yorker that she had inspired the movie's villain. So you know how they felt about her visits.
Did Mattel make Micro Machines? I'd like to see them incorporated in there.
Sounds right.
Are they not Tomy? That's just my guess on the top of
I
my
don't
head.
remember.
That sounds good
I'm
too.
not sure. Yeah, those are toy brands.
With regard to the aforementioned Hot Wheels, first off, according to the NPD Group and Mattel's official website, Hot Wheels is the #1 selling toy in the world,
Wow.
which I would never would have guessed that.
Lego.
I would have put money on Lego, but okay.
Yeah. I'm with you, John. Yeah.
It's all right.
Huh.
But it's going back to January 2019 that it was at first announced that Mattel and Warner Brothers had joined forces to produce a live-action Hot Wheels film. And in April of 22, J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot Productions was announced to be producing it. In a 2023 video, however, Abrams struggled to describe the new franchise, saying, quote,
There's cars, see? And they're hot. They're hot. Fire's involved, I guess, maybe? Some flames.
Abrams said, for a long time, we were talking to Mattel about Hot Wheels, and we couldn't quite figure out the thing that clicked that made it worthy of what Hot Wheels, that title, deserved. Go on. This is when you're writing you have a paper due the next day in high school, and you just it's an oral report. For a long time, we were talking to Mattel about Hot Wheels, and we couldn't quite figure out what clicked that made it worthy of Hot Wheels, the title. And then And then we came up with something emotional and grounded and gritty, end quote. A script, however, is yet to materialize.
It's a wonderful answer while saying nothing.
He probably just found out we're doing a movie about what?
Am I involved in that?
All right, here's another movie. Tell me, film, how are we going to improve this one? I can't imagine there's anything to be done. They probably nailed it the first draft. Uno. And I'm going to tell you something here right off the bat about Uno. It doesn't seem to be that in any conception of this film that cards are involved. I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
But it's a card game.
But
right?
Yes. In fact, Uno was created in a Cincinnati barbershop in the 1970s as a way for families to spend time together. Mattel's owned the game since 1992. And in November of 22, New Yorker met with Marcy Kelly, who they describe as a cheerful 38-year-old who has become Mattel's de facto screenwriter and punch-up artist. It was then that she recalled the moment when Kevin McKeon, who we mentioned before, asked her if she wanted to pitch a script based on the card game.
She responded, hell no.
Well, she said, quote, "My reaction was the reaction that everybody has." What? She said that she was given a pitch deck that included a number of little seeds of ideas for things to work in. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
Cat.
Jelly. Little seeds of ideas of things to work into a movie, including a meme of Beyonce holding Uno cards.
Oh.
The mandate, inexplicably, was that it had to be a heist movie.
Oh, okay. That could be fun.
Heist movie.
I don't know how, but that could be fun. I like heist movies.
Movie.
Yeah, so what she did was, Kelly, the script she emerged with wasn't quite what Mattel was looking for. She set Uno in Atlanta's hip-hop scene. And in fact, in February of 2021, Variety reported that Lil Yachty was working on the script.
Oh, Lil something. Lil phoned it in, is back to work.
We know how he rhymes, how he raps.
I was in on the Uno with the cards and the heist.
That's what Little Yachty said.
Draw 4, bitches.
Lil Yahtzee.
Kelly said the first draft that I sent in was fuck heavy.
Okay.
That's a great term.
I just realized we don't know if she means the language or the act.
Which way? Yes.
Either one, it's not the direction I thought an Uno film would take.
I
Cut
thought
to the
Uno
Mattel
was-
executives.
Why is it a porn?
Let's go back to the origin.
All you said was it had to include a heist.
Let's include what about the lore from Uno? Are you kidding me?
A way for families to spend time together.
I gotta tell you right now, Mattel executives, during one of those fuck scenes, someone plays a reverse card.
Hey-oh. Oh, I got skipped again.
Oh, I got a wild card.
Ooh, wild.
I have a pitch. I have a pitch that's not fuck heavy. It's not at all.
Then I don't want to hear it.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Don't waste my time with it.
Cat's out.
All right, 4 roommates are it's Friday night, and they all have huge plans for the evening, but they're somehow trapped in their apartment. But there's $1 million prize for whomever can successfully go out first.
Oh.
Go like Uno.
First.
Should go
like
out
in Uno.
Yeah. But I thought they were playing
first.
Uno. Wait, what are they doing?
No.
They're
trying to escape.
It's Friday
the
night.
apartment?
They're trying to go out. They're trying to go out of their apartment, but like going out of cars.
What's keeping them from getting out?
What's keeping them in the apartment is someone asked the Magic 8 Ball, will these guys ever get out of their apartment? Outlook not good.
Synergy.
I think yes. Meld.
Oh my God!
them
It's
together.
it's the Mattel Cinematic Universe. Barbie's involved.
Yes.
Oh my God! You know they're going to do that.
And the Hot Wheels come racing in.
Yeah.
Barbie will be racing a Hot Wheel right through that He-Man set.
Yep. There we go.
Nice.
With regard to Kelly's script, she said an executive flagged every instance of the obscenity in the screenplay. It was something like 50 pages, she said, and then the next draft had 1. I got my one well-placed PG-13 fuck. Again, the word.
Yes.
But shortly after the New Yorker interviewed her, the Uno script was set aside, and a one-day writer's room took another run at the concept.
Okay.
A heist, Mattel reasoned, might not be the way forward after all.
Well, whatever you pick, the sequel writes itself because there's another card game called Dose. You can just follow it up and do that.
That's right. There's a dose.
It's already, the sequel is loaded. It's ready.
All right, this is another one here. Look, I'm familiar with this product. It predates sort of my toy experience in my youth. Big Jim. Y'all remember Big Jim?
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
I had an uncle.
Did you
I
have
think, that
Big
had
Jim, John?
I don't know if I had Big Jim, but I'm aware of Big Jim.
Yeah.
I'm aware of him. He's all around, like if G.I. Joe wasn't in the military. He's just a general outdoorsman, tough guy, kind of everyman. Yeah.
So a draft dodger. If G.I. Joe was a draft dodger.
That's amazing.
No, he has a bad back.
Okay. Oh. Yeah. Shot off his pinky toe.
He was
He's a heel
exempted.
spur.
4F.
Yeah.
Big Jim.
Big Jim was a line of action figure toys produced from 1972 through 1986 by Mattel. And as John pointed out so aptly, it was originally inspired by G.I. Joe. He was smaller in size, closer to 10 inches than Joe's 12.
Only when it's cold out.
It's shrinkage. And each figure included a push button in the back that made the character execute a karate chop action.
Throat punch.
And the action figure's arms were made of a soft plastic vinyl material and contained a mechanism that simulated the bulge of a bicep when the elbow was bent.
Oh my gosh, seriously?
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And Big Jim, that's
He
why
was
he's big, he had
swole.
the guns.
That's right. Well, he needs that throat punch for when Barbie tries to hug him without permission.
Yeah.
I knew that was coming.
At the
I knew
dream house.
something was coming. Relating to warding off a hug.
No, I will not slow dance with you.
Hey, look at my muscles.
Big Jim has a facial expression for slow dance attempts.
He's not photogenic. It's like a different face you can clip on.
Oh. The part where you're taking your face on and off is really going to play well on the podcast.
Right? I'm going to have to add a sound. I'm going to use your sound from earlier. The sound of a face
Peeling off your face.
Certainly. In 2022, Variety reported that Dan Nazer, a writer on Borat's subsequent movie film, was developing a film based on Big Jim. We know very little else except for that. We know nothing else. All right, I got two more for you guys here.
All right.
I'll give you the one that seems like it lends itself more to a film first. And then in the last one, it seems kind of strange, but I think I have somewhat of a pitch.
All right.
First up here is Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Love it.
Here's all we know. We don't know very much. In 2021, it was announced that Universal was developing a film based on this toy with Vin Diesel's production company, One Race Films.
Oh.
Diesel himself has been set to star.
Family.
Is that Vin Diesel? Yeah, it's testosterone. So remember I described your hair earlier? Now you're just completely bald.
Okay.
That's right.
You're not far off. Look at that.
No.
Diesel himself had been set to start playing a father who, with his son, forms a, quote, unlikely bond with an advanced war machine.
Family.
Again, with the family.
Ryan Engel, who co-wrote Rampage, The Commuter, and Beast, has been working on the script.
Wow.
You can't just gloss over Rampage.
All hits. He's only written hit films.
Oh my goodness.
And finally, and this is intriguing to me.
No, wait. Before you leave Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Okay, yeah, you're into it?
I don't have a different pitch. I think it writes itself. You need giant fighting robots. It's very simple. And that's kind of been done where people have avatars that fight for them, whether it was, they were fighting kaiju and they had the giant robots or whatever in the Pacific Rim films, that kind of thing.
Hugh Jackman movie. Remember when he had literally a fighting robot?
Yeah. They were like arena, like boxing match kind of robots, that kind of thing. It's kind of been done before, but map some Rock'em Sock'em Robots on there. It's proven that that's a mediocre film. So it can only get better, I hope.
Real Steel is the movie I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I've said my piece on Rock'em.
Maybe.
Sounds on
I
board,
guess
though.
if you did
Sounds
like
on board.
the Hugh Jackman and Pacific Rim together, and they have to be huge. Yeah. That'd be fun. I'd be into it.
Yeah.
Final one I wanted to run by you guys that Mattel intends to bring to screen is Viewmaster.
I really, really, really need to understand this one.
As a Vulture
Why,
article
right?
put it, quote, "It's plenty of fun to imagine teams of screenwriters locked away on major studio lots, chugging coffee while grappling with how to graft plots onto stuff like Viewmaster," end quote.
There's 2 Viewmasters in my house. I mean, they're cool, but movie worthy?
What's the lore behind Viewmaster? I mean, what's the story you can mine there? Yeah.
I think this quote I have here
Oh,
will inspire
really?
a film
Okay.
here.
I'm ready. I'm ready to be inspired.
So first off, so the Viewmaster is, as you know, it's a stereoscopic toy that it actually debuted in 1939. We were talking about earlier how old they are, 1939.
not know that.
But according to Deadline, former MGM Motion Picture Group president Jonathan Glickman described the Viewmaster as this, and this is, I think, where you get the film idea from.
Mm-hmm.
The first device that allowed families all over the world to escape their reality and take them to places they never thought they'd go, end quote.
Wow.
Now he's talking about the toy, but I mean, that's the movie, right? I mean, that's it. It's some kind of device where you put a thing in,
Oh,
you can step into that place maybe and
Like a-
travel.
Dial of Destiny, the Viewmaster of...
Family.
I want a different family.
You're right. It kind of writes itself based on that description, but
Yes,
I'm also
yes.
immediately not on board with where that leads.
Is it like the 8-ball where it has magical powers and if you use it, you get
That's what it sounds
transported
like.
to whichever
That's
reel
what it sounds
you're
like,
looking
right?
at?
But then,
Everything's a horror movie, you mean? Like?
but yeah.
Ooh, it could go in that direction.
But I would just leap into a Donald Duck cartoon because that's all I ever watched on Viewmaster.
You know what? Yeah, it's funny you say that because it could be kind of like a Roger Rabbit or what are those Bugs Bunny movies, Looney Tunes back in action kind of
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
If Mattel could cut enough deals, yeah. When I was a kid, you're right. I had a Yogi Bear one. I had some Disney ones.
Oh no! This is the central hub. They can leap into the Barbie world. They can leap into the
Yeah.
Hot Wheels
Oh, there you
world.
go.
Oh
There you
no!
No.
Oh no!
Cancel the Viewmaster movie. Cancel it.
I had one that was like the wonders of the world.
Yes,
and
I had that
showed-
too. Yeah,
Did
yeah,
you have
yeah.
that one?
It's like the Taj
Yeah.
Mahal and yeah.
Yes.
I
yes,
think the
in
Wonders of the World
Yellowstone.
actually shipped with a lot of Viewmasters because it was a variety reels. It was a set of varieties. Because everybody who could be mad at like the 7 Wonders of the World, right? You have to. That's interesting, right? Nobody's like, I don't like Dukes of Hazzard or what. It's your world, so it's fine.
Yeah.
That's the last one? Will is that all of them?
Yeah, that's last
Is
one.
there a special reason you didn't mention Betsy Wetsy?
I didn't think there'd be any appetite for that necessarily among the three of us.
It looks
Because-
like there is.
There's a film that writes itself. I mean,
Okay. Is this movie fuck heavy?
Oh,
it's got it's
Or does it have
it's-
the juicy mouth?
it's a particular interest to a very specific group of people who would enjoy the film, I'm sure.
Chatty Cathy is the one with the potty mouth, probably. Not
Oh.
Betsy Wetsy.
Oh, we were talking about two different kinds of.
Ooh.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
If they're in the same film and she has a potty mouth, oh my goodness.
Pass. Our show is a certain level of class.
I
I
understand.
refuse to
Right.
go below that level.
Unless there's a
down.
guest, in which case, straight to the gutter.
Yes. Right.
Then we
I'll
go
tell you about
right there.
tell you about my vasectomy. So whatever portion of the show was left intact, or whatever portion of this recording was left intact, that was the show.
Oh, and our show is brought to you every week, thanks in part to our early adopters like Rick Parker, Kathy Burke, and Karen Flieger.
Yay.
What a delight it was meeting Rick in person at SFGE. That was such a surprise.
Oh my gosh, that was the best moment. That was just so amazing,
Oh,
and
boy.
he was so unassuming, and he's I'm a
Well,
fourth-
careful, Kat, you're setting it up because there are lots of other people you've met. And Rick was the absolute best. So I guess everyone else
wait.
is just,
Okay.
and these people.
Equally good.
Everyone is awesome. No, I loved the surprise, and he was like a ninja. Rick Parker
He was. Yeah.
like a
He
He
ninja.
didn't know you.
Others,
He didn't know you. The other folks you knew you would see. Rick Parker was a
Exactly.
surprise. Okay, fair.
Exactly. It was that. Yes, I had a brain explosion. And thank you especially to our Secret of Our Success level Patreon supporters like Marcus Taylor,
Marcus.
Tony Great,
Great.
Brandon Greer,
Thank you, Brandon.
Nick Guillory,
Hey.
John Henderson, Craig Coletta, and Brad Bowman.
Ta-da! BFF.
Also, apologies to anyone who listened to our episode from SFGE where I apparently couldn't control my volume when I was saying the names of our patrons in the room, and I screamed their names. I'm so sorry.
Are you
So
apologizing
sorry.
to the people that were in the room?
No, anyone whose ears I might have blown out by my enthusiasm.
I thought you were going to apologize to Kathy Burke and Karen Flieger again for
Oh.
seeming like you just shit on their support. Because you're like Kathy. You're like Kathy Burke, Karen Flieger.
Kathy and Karen know that I love them, and yeah, that's it. They know I love them.
And it was equally delightful to meet Marcus, of course, and Brad,
Yes.
and spend the weekend with them.
Oh my
playing
gosh.
Games with Marcus all weekend, shitting all over the 80s band with Brad, exposing them for the posers they were.
Yeah, thanks for that.
And Marcus, when Brad and I said this to Marcus was like, I wish you never told me that. Now I can't stop thinking about it.
That's how I felt too. I'm like, well, I'm not going to stop dancing, but
You told me.
No.
I just didn't care. I was just having fun.
yay.
They sounded great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, yes.
Brad and I were
absolutely.
just jealous. Let's face it. We were just jealous.
Oh,
That's
no.
basically what it comes down to. Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks to everybody. We hope to meet everyone eventually at some one of these events. But if you
Yes.
can't support us the way they do with your money, there's plenty of ways you can support us. Making a comment on Facebook, subscribing on YouTube, or send us an email.
Yes.
In fact, we received a message from Tom, who writes, just heard your podcast about 1983 hits versus today. You compared a Morgan, again, I still don't know how to pronounce this, Morgan Wallen song
Okay.
to Every Breath You Take by the Police. While the Police was just okay to me, Wallen literally garnered his fan base the day he was caught saying the N-word on camera.
Oh,
Boy.
yikes.
Goodness.
So there
Party
you go.
foul.
I'm glad we didn't pick him for lots of reasons.
Yeah.
Besides the fact his music was annoying and sucked. And Mecca of Speed writes on Twitter, I am now, with regard to our live, the recording of our live, what's it called? Live show?
Or a panel, yeah.
About Sword
It
Quest.
was more of a live show than a panel, which I think is most people Gen X grown up turns their shows into a panel. But what we did was we turned our show into a live show
Yeah.
that you could then kind of panel. You could participate a teensy bit, but really it was a live show. It was seeing how the sausage was made. It was seeing what the live show would look like when it's not live, which is, I think, interesting. Yeah.
And yes. And boy, did people participate. My only regret in listening back was we didn't have a mic on the audience because you couldn't hear the questions and the heckling and the laughter.
Will, I was thinking the same thing, like, I wish we had a mic there, but then it wouldn't have been as spontaneous. So I was thinking we should have repeated what they said, something like that.
Yeah.
But I loved the audience participation.
Yeah,
That
we
was
should have
super
also
fun.
said, I agree with you about repeating the question. That's just a professional hiccup. I mean, we just completely dropped the ball there.
Yeah.
And I blame myself. But also, we should have repeated when they were laughing. Hey, people are laughing now.
People are
They think
laughing.
I'm funny.
If you can't hear and you missed it,
Yes.
that was funny. So
Uproarious laughter.
if you're not laughing, it's on you.
Yes.
We don't only think we're funny, other people thought we were funny.
I told you, Mom. But Mecca writes, I am now
said
going to
never
have to
enough
get the Atari 50th on a PS5 to take on the Quest. Could not make the trip down to SFGE from Wisconsin. Thanks for recording the true crime.
Yeah. That's not the only reason to have that. That's a wonderful software package. It's super.
Yeah, I definitely am interested now. I got my PS5. Just got to get. I am not playing Sword Quest, but I'll play.
You don't have
played
to,
49 other games. Yeah, or whatever. however many other-
It is a spectacular package. Plus, it is a living document of the history of Atari. And that was just one of the many things they did was complete Sword Quest. They did other really cool stuff too. So
That's so cool.
Awesome.
Yay.
All right. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us. We will talk to you next time on 1980s Now.
Until next time.
bye-bye.